you all again after so long. Every year we gather for a board of directors meeting. Last year was a little bit different. We had it at the Nixon Library, but traditionally it's been done here at the Reagan Library. And every year we listen to speakers. Well, in my experience, we listen to speakers thrown on, and most people would kind of wait until the next time they could drink to go for a drink break. And we've had two very, very great speakers that have sort of changed this, in my opinion, and that was sort of the change we were looking for in the board of directors meeting. And this year, I wanted to do something different. This year, I wanted to challenge us to work towards a policy we can all affirm. More importantly, I challenge us to work on a policy we all agree to actually implement, a policy that won't just stay printed on paper, growing old in chemo's notebooks, a policy that holds this organization to a standard. We've done great things this year, but first I kind of want to address a couple of things. You know me, I don't really hold back very much. I speak what's on my mind all the time. I think that's very clear to probably everybody in this room. Unfortunately, this organization policy hasn't always been at the forefront of our focus. Oftentimes we structure the organization, assign committees, and people make promises to do things, and almost always these promises fall through. For instance, there are committees that, even over a period of 10 months that our administration has been in office, have failed to produce a single written document. The Credentials Committee under prior leadership didn't even produce a report. Leadership in this organization by people I've appointed have been so horrendous that most tasks take forever to complete or never get done by the people they were assigned to, and it ends up being the same 5 people doing all the work over and over and over again. And I think that you guys in your chapters face similar struggles. I'm sure there are the same 5 people doing most of the work in your chapters. So I think it's time for some people to reevaluate. And this is my last term. I graduated. I want to impart some wisdom through the stuff that I've learned. And I'm also not trying to pretend that the world is rosy and full of daisies and there's no problems. But I'm also not putting down the great work that we've accomplished. But I do want to address things first. And I'll get more into that later. So, this being stated, I report there's not all bad. We've done in total 6 official state deployments, which is up from the prior midterm cycle and the prior election cycle. In total, we've had more socials, more interactions with students, and a greater sense that the state organization actually means something more than that. In the southern region, we've launched the Summer of Activism. We've endorsed and walked for ambitious candidates on the Central Coast. The Capital Region on 3 specific deployments helped us push Democrats back to the brink. And most inspiringly, we worked diligently through several deployments and succeeded in recalling Josh Newman. The success is in part reflected in the growth of our organization. In our 2018 convention, we recorded the attendance numbers in the history, most attendance in the history of our organization. This beauty, in fact, is far beyond our expectations of attendance, considering how policy heavy, especially today, is going to be. And I'm really, really proud that so many people care about this organization and care about having a say in what happens and what goes on. So, that being said, I would also like to specifically thank 2 individuals who've worked very, very hard for this board of directors meeting. One, Leslie Garcia, our executive director, who's worked tirelessly and diligently, did all of those things. There's probably not a single more responsible person that I know than Leslie. And secondly, Chemo. I make the joke sometimes in private that Chemo is the OD, he is the Senate. He wrote all of the documents, all 100 whatever pages of the documents, and even put up some reports that chairs of committees have failed to do. We've been winning. Many of the opposition to this organization argue that membership is getting smaller, a statement that is at best false and at worst slanderous. While I've pointed out a plethora of issues, this is not one. For those who question this, ask yourselves this: did the state, prior to my administration, ever actually maintain written records of chapters? Did they actually keep up with credentialing? The answer is simple: no. As our membership director will later show, it's a matter of fact that our numbers are rising. A chapter that was chartered in 1999 that doesn't exist anymore shouldn't count towards our actual chapter members, and I think everybody can agree with that. My opposition also falsely contended there was a plague of dechartering. Many of you have heard about the McNally and the Olbrandts case, and honestly, if you take the legal jargon out of it, the whole ordeal came down to McNally believed it was a waste of her time to defend her chapter. That behavior is neither presidential, nor is it that of a legitimate leader. And the Judicial Board wrote it quite harshly, might I add. But even if you don't believe that, the statistics lay it out themselves. Only 2 chapters were officially dechartered, Cal State Fullerton and Channel Islands. Neither of these chapters, with the exception of a few members, showed up for any state events outside the convention. Not that big of a deal. 2, my opposition continues to make the day of reckoning seem around the corner, but in reality, they're doing what they usually do. Cry wolf. And if this isn't enough, 11 new chapters chartered. All of them can be found specifically in the membership report. We have minimum standards of maintaining members, unlike prior years where chartered chapters were nothing more than names on paper. And now we have institutions in place to ensure we remain truthful in our documentation. To summarize it, CCR membership-wise is in one of the best positions it's ever been. So, a couple of things that I've learned, and this is I have about 8 months left of my term here, and like I said, the same 5 people do most of the work. And I'm one of those 5 people. What are you guys going to do when I leave? I fundraise 90% of what comes into this organization. For an example, who's going to fill that role when I'm gone? That's something that you guys need to think about. Not just for CCR, but for your own chapters. Is there somebody in your chapter that you're probably thinking of right now who brings in all the money? What are you going to do when they graduate? You guys need to be thinking about this. I want to make it clear that a lot of people in this organization whine a lot. No, it's actually I lie. It's a small minority of very loud whiners. And these loud whiners are unproductive and misrepresent facts. And that helps nobody. I want everybody to do what they think is right. Always. No matter if it's hard, no matter if it's going to cost you, you do what you think is right. Because that's really the only way that you get ahead. All of this lying, all of this backstabbing, slandering, whatever, I see people putting titles, and I see people putting their personal ambitions before relationships, before friendships that they make in this organization. And let me tell you, those relationships and those friendships are the most important takeaway you will have from this organization. A title in your chapter isn't going to matter so much as the people and the people that you've met along the way, the things that you've learned from those people, and how those people can help you in the future as you move on with your professional life, you move on with your personal life. And oftentimes, I see people throwing these relationships away over something petty, something that doesn't matter, some dispute that could have been solved just by saying, hey, you know what? We don't see eye to eye on this. That's fine. It's different, but I value you as a person, and I value you as a friend more than I value this dumb dispute that we're arguing over right now. So focus on yourself. I really believe that every single person in here should focus on themselves and their personal growth. The rest will come. So the people, obviously there's going to be people who are snakes, people who don't have your best interests in mind and only have their own, selfish ambition. But the integrity way is the only successful way. And those people who behave like snakes, eventually they're going to make a mistake because they're not doing things the right way. Stop burning bridges. And I see a lot of that from everybody, everywhere, burning bridges. And that's got to stop. Because people are more important than these little disputes here and there. If you put your titles ahead of people, ahead of the right thing, that's only going to end up with you behind. You're not going to get out in front of that. No matter how hard you try, though, some people will just not like you. They'll never like you. And that's not your fault. That's not a you problem. Don't let it bother you. So what? So what some person doesn't like you? Does it really matter? Probably not. So you do you anyways. The only person that can stop your ambition, your goals, is yourself. And the only person that can achieve them is you. Don't rely on anybody else. You can either be a team player and work with other people, or you can be a loser and work by yourself and alienate yourself from everybody else. 2 years ago, I was at this board of directors meeting in this exact same room. And I left that meeting angry, I left that meeting disappointed, I left that meeting with little to no hope for the future of college Republicans in California, because I have been through experiences on my campus, and I talked to other people from different campuses going through the same thing that I was going on. And conservatives are being repressed, they're being shouted down on campus, and nobody was talking to each other. Nobody was helping each other. And the state organization wasn't doing it. All of the speakers who came up and talked, they were just saying, hey, knock doors from my campaign. Don't keep your head down on campus. You don't want to get kicked out of campus by upsetting some sort of leftist administrator. This organization couldn't have survived if that's the attitude that we took. Conservatism on college campuses wouldn't have survived if that's the attitude that we adopt. So I decided to do something about it. There was a problem, I identified the problem, I saw a solution for it, and I did something about it. And everybody needs to do that in their own lives in order to be successful. You see a problem, don't rely on somebody else to fix it, you fix it. That works both within this organization and on your campus. You see a problem, fix it, be bold. It doesn't matter what other people think of you. It only matters what you think of yourself and a couple of your close friends. So, like I said, I don't really hold back too much. I don't really care. If you don't like this speech, I don't care. Hope you do. Hope some of you learn from some of the stuff that I've said. But it's been a long, long road to get here. And I lost hell of friends. I lost a ton of friends. I always did what I thought was right. I wouldn't have done much different at all. I'm really, really thankful for the people that I can call friends, the people that I can rely on, the relationships that I've made, and the relationships that I've lost in this organization. Because the ones that I've lost, I know that I don't need. And some of these people that I know, some of these people in this room, I've been friends with you all for a while. So with that, I would like to conclude my report.